Put your hands where I can see them, the man in the fake badge shouted, stepping onto my porch like he owned the place. Behind him, two others in cheap uniforms blocked my driveway with a black SUV that didn't even have plates. It was 7 a.m. and my daughter was still sleeping upstairs. I looked him dead in the eye. "Who the hell are you?" He flashed a card so fast I could barely read it. "HOA Enforcement Division," he barked. "You're under arrest for violating community regulations and refusing demolition orders." I almost laughed. Arrested for refusing what? I didn't even live in an HOA. My house sat on a private lot, land my father had bought 40 years ago. But these clowns didn't know that. Not yet. "I think you've got the wrong guy," I said, calm and steady. "Don't play smart," the fake officer sneered. "You've been warned multiple times. Now step aside before this gets ugly." The one on the left tapped his baton on my porch railing, trying to look tough. But the way his hand trembled told me he wasn't used to real confrontation. My instincts kicked in, the quiet, trained kind that never leaves a cop, even when he's off duty. "Sir," I said slowly, "I'd like to see a warrant." He smirked. "You don't need to see anything. We have HOA authorization." That's when I knew. These weren't just overzealous neighbors. Someone had gone to serious lengths to make this look real. Fake IDs, fake uniforms, even radios buzzing nonsense. This was a setup. Then a woman's voice cut through the air, sharp, shrill, and dripping with arrogance. "You're wasting time, officer. Just arrest him already. Karen." There she was, standing at the end of my driveway with her arms crossed, wearing that smug look she always had when she thought she'd won. She'd been trying to claim my land for months, saying it belonged to the HOA's expansion plan. And now, she had apparently hired her own officers to make it happen. I stayed still, calm, watching, measuring. "Karen," I said, voice low, "you might want to call these men off before things get worse." She laughed. "You're not scaring anyone with your little threats. You're done here, mister. We run this community now." The fake cop moved closer, reaching for his handcuffs. That was his mistake. The second his wrist twitched, I turned, fast, controlled, and pinned him against the railing before he could blink. His radio fell, crackling with static. The others froze. "You just assaulted an officer," one yelled. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "No, son." "You did." I pulled his fake badge from his vest and dropped it on the ground. "Next time you impersonate law enforcement," I added, my tone ice cold, "make sure you don't do it in front of the chief of police." Karen's face drained of color. The street went dead silent. Only the faint hum of the fake SUV filled the air. I could see her mind spinning. She had no idea what she'd just started, and she definitely didn't know. I had cameras rolling the whole time. Karen's jaw tightened as the truth sank in. For a second, she looked like she wanted to run, but her pride wouldn't let her. She forced a laugh instead, the kind of fake confidence that cracks under pressure. "Chief of police?" she said, her voice shaking just a little. "That's cute. You really expect anyone to believe that?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The man still pinned against my railing was staring at the badge clipped to my belt, the real one. His hands were trembling now, and the others were frozen in place, waiting for Karen to tell them what to do. "You three," I said, keeping my tone steady. "Drop your weapons and step back." They hesitated. Karen waved her hand at them like she was directing traffic. "Don't listen to him. He's bluffing." But they didn't move. I could see it in their eyes. They knew they were finished. The one in the cheap sunglasses tried to whisper something into his radio, pretending to call for backup, but all it did was play static. "You're done here," I said quietly. "All of you." Karen's voice rose again, louder this time, desperate. "You think your little badge scares me? I already filed a complaint against you. The HOA owns this property now." She stepped closer, waving a folder in my face like it was proof of her authority. "You ignored our notice. This entire land is part of our community development. You're trespassing on HOA land." I took the folder from her hand and flipped it open. Fake seals, fake signatures. Even the county logo was off-center. Whoever made this didn't even bother to check the spelling on enforcement. It said enforcement. "You really paid someone for this garbage?" I asked, letting the papers drop to the ground. "Karen, you just broke about 5 federal laws without realizing it." She froze. For the first time, I saw real fear cross her face. Her officers started backing toward their SUV, whispering to each other, trying to figure out an escape plan. But I wasn't letting them go just yet. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and hit one button, the shortcut straight to the sheriff's department. "This is Chief Dawson," I said calmly. "I've got 3 suspects impersonating officers and trespassing on private property. Possible fraud and attempted unlawful arrest. Send units." The color drained from Karen's face completely. Wait, you're calling real cops?" "Real enough," I said, giving her a cold smile. The fake cops tried to run for the SUV, but the gate locked automatically. I'd installed a reinforced steel barrier months ago after Karen's last stunt, claiming my mailbox was on HOA land. The look on her face when she realized they were trapped was priceless. She turned toward me, voice trembling but still trying to sound powerful. "You can't do this. Can't just—" I cut her off. "You walked into my home with fake police, fake badges, and fake warrants. You're lucky all I did was call backup." Then I pointed at the camera on my porch, the red light blinking steadily. "And it's all on tape." She glanced at the lens, her face going pale. She knew exactly what that meant. "Karen," I said, lowering my voice, "you've got 5 minutes before the sheriff's units get here. I'd start explaining yourself." But she didn't move. She stood there, silent, shaking, like her world was collapsing around her. And as the faint sound of sirens began to echo in the distance, I knew this wasn't over, because someone had helped her set this up. She wasn't smart enough to pull off a stunt this big on her own. Someone inside the system was backing her, and I was going to find out who. The sirens grew louder, bouncing off the trees lining my property. The fake officers stood frozen like kids caught stealing candy, their faces pale and stiff. Karen tried to fix her hair, pretending to be calm, but her hands were trembling so bad she nearly dropped her phone. When the sheriff's cruisers pulled in, lights flashing blue and red, relief finally washed over me, but not for long. The moment Deputy Miller stepped out of the car, I saw the hesitation in his eyes. He wasn't surprised to see me. He looked uncomfortable. "Chief Dawson," he said carefully. "Got a call about impersonators?" "Yeah," I replied, nodding toward the SUV. 3 of them, fake badges, fake ID, and a woman claiming to represent the HOA. Karen straightened up like she'd been waiting for her cue. "Deputy, thank God you're here. This man attacked my officers. He's refusing HOA orders and threatening me with violence." Her tone flipped instantly, now the victim. She even put on fake tears, clutching her purse like she was terrified. I could feel my pulse tightening in my neck. Miller glanced at me, then back at her. "Ma'am, these men work for the HOA?" "Yes, we sent multiple notices. This property is illegally built on HOA land." I took a slow breath. "You've got to be kidding me." I pulled the documents she dropped earlier and handed them to Miller. "Take a look for yourself." He scanned them, frowning. "These seals aren't even real." Karen's smile cracked for a moment. "Well, that's a draft version. The real ones are at the office." "The office?" I asked. "You mean the one you set up in the back of your garage?" Her face twisted. "You have no right to." "I have every right," I cut her off, stepping closer. "And you're about to lose whatever fake authority you thought you had." Just then, one of the fake officers made a run for it, bolting toward the woods behind the SUV. Miller shouted, "Hey, stop right there!" And 2 deputies took off after him. The other 2 stood still, shaking. Karen screamed, "Don't let them touch my people!" "Your people?" I said, glaring at her. "So you did hire them." She froze again, realizing what she'd just confessed to. "Karen, you just made this real easy for us," I said. Deputy Miller stepped forward, reading her rights while she stood there, eyes wide, jaw slack. But then something strange happened. His radio crackled and a voice came through, one I recognized instantly. "Unit 12, stand down. This is Captain Reynolds. Release all suspects immediately. This is a jurisdictional misunderstanding." I frowned. Reynolds? He wasn't supposed to be on duty today. He was HOA's friendly contact, the one who'd been trying to keep peace between homeowners in the county. But hearing his voice ordering a stand down over impersonators, that didn't smell right. Miller hesitated. "Chief, Orders came from Captain Reynolds. Don't you dare, I said sharply. Miller, look at me. You know these guys aren't legit. You can see the fake badges. You can see the lies. If you let them go now, you're helping them bury this. He looked torn, like a man standing on a thin line between duty and fear. Karen, seeing the hesitation, smiled again, cocky, victorious. Told you, she whispered. Even your own people know who's in charge here. That's when I realized it. She wasn't bluffing anymore. Someone high up was protecting her, so I decided to change the game. I turned, tapped my phone, and projected my porch camera feed onto the SUV's dash screen. Every moment, every fake badge, every illegal order, every lie was there, recorded in high definition, and backed up on a secure police server. Karen's smile faded instantly. I looked her straight in the eye. You really thought you could fake your way through my town, Karen? The cameras don't lie, and neither does the law. She stammered. You can't use that footage. Oh, I already did, I said. It's live streaming to the county headquarters as we speak. Deputy Miller's radio went silent. He met my eyes, realization dawning. Chief, what do you want us to do? I nodded toward the SUV. Cuff them all, every last one. Karen's screams echoed through the neighborhood as the deputies moved in, but even as they did, I saw movement at the edge of the woods. The fake officer who had run wasn't gone. He was standing there, watching, and when our eyes met, he raised his hand, showing me something small, metallic, and chillingly familiar. My old police badge. How the hell did he get that? My breath hitched for a second. That badge wasn't a copy, it was mine. The same one that went missing months ago after my house was mysteriously broken into. I dismissed it then, thinking maybe I'd misplaced it during an out-of-town training. But now, seeing it glint in the fake officer's hand, my gut twisted. He gave me a mocking salute, then disappeared into the trees. Miller, I barked, lock the perimeter, now! We've got a fourth suspect on foot heading east. The deputies moved fast, but not fast enough. By the time they reached the tree line, he was gone. Vanished into the woods like a ghost. I could hear Miller cursing into his radio, calling for drones and K9 units. Karen, meanwhile, was yelling from the back of the patrol car, her voice hoarse and wild. This isn't over. You don't know who you're dealing with. You think this is just me? You're going to lose everything. I walked up to her window, the flashing lights reflecting off the tears streaking down her face. You already lost, Karen, I said quietly. But thanks for letting me know there's someone else involved. She laughed bitterly. You're too late. The HOA isn't just a neighborhood board anymore, Chief. It's bigger than you think. I stared at her, trying to read her expression. She wasn't bluffing. Not this time. A half hour later, when the property finally cleared out, I went inside my house, locked the door, and pulled up the security footage. Frame by frame, I traced the fake officer's movements from the moment he arrived. His face stayed hidden under that cheap hat and glasses, but as he turned once near the SUV, a faint tattoo on his wrist caught my eye. I froze. That symbol, a black circle with a jagged line through it, wasn't random. I'd seen it once before, back when I was a rookie. It belonged to a private enforcement group that had been shut down years ago for corruption and blackmail. Half of them had vanished without a trace after their leader was arrested. And now one of them was standing on my property, working with Karen. I leaned back in my chair, piecing it all together. Karen wasn't smart enough to plan this alone. She was being used, a pawn for someone who wanted access to private land outside government reach. My land sat right on the county border, valuable, strategic, and isolated. Perfect for someone who didn't want to be found. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, until I saw the message preview. Nice to see you again, Chief. Still protecting the wrong side? No name, no location, just that. I felt the chill crawl up my spine. Whoever this was, the man from the woods, he knew me. Before I could respond, the power flickered, then shut off completely. The monitors went black. The hum of my fridge died. Silence filled the room. I reached for my sidearm and moved toward the window. The driveway lights were still flashing from the squad cars, but the woods behind my property were pitch black. And somewhere out there, someone was watching. I dialed Miller, but the call didn't go through. No signal. Then suddenly, my security system rebooted on its own. Every camera flickered back to life. But when the feed appeared, I froze again. Every camera showed the same thing. My front gate wide open. And standing just beyond it, in the beam of a single headlight, was that same SUV. The one that was supposed to be impounded. Karen's words echoed in my head. It's bigger than you think. I stared at the screen, feeling my pulse hammer. Whoever they weren't done. This wasn't just about land anymore. This was about control. About silencing the people who refused to obey. I took a deep breath, holstered my gun, and looked straight at the nearest camera. If you're watching this, I said quietly. You made one mistake. I leaned closer, my voice steady. Every word like a warning. You came after the wrong chief. The light outside flickered once, then went out completely. And for the first time in years, I felt the war starting all over again.